Hello and welcome to episode number 7 of the Local Lowdown. What are you laughing at? My name is Zach Bischoff, and I am as always, joined by...
Danny Shanowitzer. Zach, it's a great day, man. How are you doing on this great Sunday night, man?
Yes, I'm doing great. Thank you, Danny. How about you? I am wearing a lot of hats, as you can see here. That's why.
I know. I really like that you're spicing it up, Zach.
Yes,
I think that's what we all needed that. We all needed that, man.
Did the listeners and viewers really need that?
I think so, Zach, but I might be
I'm not
biased.
usually a hat guy, but for today you have hats. All right. Oh my God, we're professional, aren't we? All right, today it's going to be a very, very brief program here. So we have the Women's World Cup, and we also have college football realignment, some major schools moving conferences there. But first, with some breaking news, just into the studio here at the Local Lowdown. So the Penguins today acquired defenseman Erik Karlsson from the San Jose Sharks. I have the graphic for you as I bring it up here. There it is. As you can see, Danny, please read off the return here for the Penguins and everything.
For sure, Zach. As you mentioned, man, the Penguins finally landed Erik Karlsson along with a couple prospects from in a 3-team trade, as well as a 2026 third-round draft pick. So I, for one, Zach, I know this is kind of a preview as to our next episode here, but I was super excited.
That was my line.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Proceed.
No, I mean, the Penguins really got a quality defenseman, an established veteran in Erik Karlsson, and I'm just super excited to see how he contributes in the upcoming season here, man.
All right, and get that off screen. There we go. All right. So Danny, just your thoughts as you briefly alluded to. I've seen online people think that this could easily turn the Pens into a contender this year. Danny, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, Zach. I definitely agree with those sentiments from a lot of people, around the National Hockey League, but more specifically in Pittsburgh. Just because Erik Karlsson, adds a veteran presence, right? Erik Karlsson can kind of carry the load, and just really contribute and kind of become that fourth team leader, if you will, behind Crosby, Malkin, and Letang. So that's what I'm super excited to see here, Zach.
And it's people are really praising now formerly in his role as the hockey operations person, but now general manager Kyle Dubas. There was a whole bunch of different promotions, including Kyle Dubas officially being named the general manager. He was kind of playing that he was wearing that hat initially, but now that is his official role with the team. But I think this is a really big move, and I really like it because as mentioned, all of our bad players except for one of them, Jeff Carter, for one really good player. So I think it really undid all of Ron Hextall's moves, and I really do like the trade. All right, now back to regularly scheduled podcast programming. We're going to talk about the United States women's national team wrapping up their run this morning in the semifinal of the round of 16, of the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup. The U.S. women played a scoreless regulation period there, and then they lost. I can't speak. They lost 5-4 on penalties. Danny, just your thoughts on the game, and also what is next or what the U.S. can take from this as they look to move forward.
Yeah, Zach. As soon as the game ended, I texted you and said, we got to do a podcast.
No, that was my idea, by the way.
I didn't mean to steer your thunder. Anyway, we were in touch, right after that game, because there is so much to unpack here. Um, and I really, can't put my finger on the right way to kind of start and dive in, because over the course of 120 minutes plus penalty kicks, there's a lot to unpack. Overall, Zach, I definitely thought that it was the US's best game of the tournament. And I just think the reason for that was the tactical switch. Um, Playing a 4-2-3-1. I think that really, really helped, having that extra midfielder giving some support to the midfield. I mean, Andy Sullivan and Emily Sonnet for just were standout performers, Zach. That whole game. And I think that the story of this World Cup is going to be, what if we capitalized on our chances, Zach? Because all the credit in the world goes to Sweden's goalkeeper, because she made 11 saves, some of which were spectacular, right? She did a heck of a job when called upon. But I mean, overall, though, Zach, I'm disappointed, man, because this felt like a game that the United States definitely played well enough to win. And obviously, when you get to penalty kicks, it's no longer who was better in the run of play. It's who has a better day in terms of penalty kicks, and that was Sweden. So I mean, it's disappointing, man, and it's uncharted territory for the U.S. here. Coming, this is the first time that they have not made it to the semifinal of a World Cup since they started playing in the World Cup. So I'm just, I mean, it is disappointing. But yeah, Zach, what do you have any initial thoughts before we kind of dive into the future predictions, if you will?
First of all, it's my decision what we dive into, but I'm joking. But yeah, he's acting like he's the host over there.
I know it's on me, Zach. That's on me, man.
Yes. All right. Yes, but I do think, yeah, this is a disappointing loss for sure. I think the U.S. This was, as Jason, was very winnable, and I think even looking specifically at the first 15 minutes, I was surprised that the game was as even as it was, given that the U.S. had previously only scored, or I'm sorry, uh, what happened in Portugal? That did they lose? I don't remember. What happened?
No, so they tied Portugal,
Yes,
which
they
is,
tied Portugal.
yeah, 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 yeah.
And after the team really did not look good in the last two group matches there, so I was really pleasantly surprised, but surprised nonetheless, of just how even the game was. And yes, I do agree that the Swedish goalkeeper did make some good stops, but um, in the end, the U.S. At the end of the game, um, the last penalty kick there was it just about a millimeter over the goal line, so that was as close as you could get. And I kind of thought it was saved, and then I learned something new this morning was that the VAR could look at things like that in penalty shootout. I've never seen them intervene in that way, and certainly in a way where it mattered the most. But I do think, once again, this was the U.S.'s best game, and
Yeah.
I do think that this is a sad way for, and a follow-up question, for Megan Rapinoe and uh, just Megan Rapinoe, her final game as a um, player for the U.S. women's national team. Danny, just your thoughts on the legendary career of Megan Rapinoe.
Yeah, for sure, Zach. Megan Rapinoe obviously did a ton for women's soccer, and she was as you said, the one that explicitly said that this would be her last World Cup. So with her missing the penalty kick, I mean, that's really not a fun way to go out. And just she really did a ton for the just for the U.S. women's national team program as a whole. And you look at veterans like Julie Ertz, and you know, it they built Kelly O'Hara as well. They built what the U.S. women's national team is, and them kind of on the back end of their careers. It's just hard because part of the magic, I feel like, Zach, of the World Cup is that it's every 4 years, but it's also 4 years from now will be the next World Cup. So a lot can happen in 4 years. As far as what's next for the women's national team, and I'm super intrigued to kind of hear your thoughts, Zach. I think that as far as the players, I mean, I really think that Sophia Smith and Naomi Girma were the two kind of young stars of this tournament run. And I think, for the U.S. to be successful, they got to continue to develop at a high level. So I think, just keep, for the young talent, the all the young players on the team, for them to keep developing. That's obviously what we're gonna, we should expect to see. But as far as the job security of Vlatko Andonovski, Zach, I really don't know what is going to happen in that regard, just because he was really just the opinion of him has not been positive from the get-go of this World Cup. So do you have any thoughts on that, man?
Not that specifically, but I am not. Be curious to, after we get off the air what you specifically mean by that. But yeah, I really don't have any thoughts on that specifically, so we will just awkwardly move on. All right, I apologize for that. All right, so next, and our final topic of discussion here this evening is the major realignment of college football, and more specifically, some big teams moving to moving conferences to DNAs. You have my understanding is you have a list of teams that are moving conferences.
Yeah, for sure, Zach. Friday was really the big day with the rapid decline of the Pac-12, as a lot of people are saying. But we talked about this. I believe it was last summer when the idea of super conferences came about, and with NIL, Zach, and everything that comes along with that, college athletics are more there's more shifting and more money involved than there ever has been, Zach. And as far as the teams that are and schools that are moving to the Big Ten, is going to be Oregon and Washington are the two new additions, but also you think about a couple months ago, UCLA and USC also joined the Big Ten, and then a huge day for the Big 12 in the fact that Arizona State, Utah, and Colorado are also leaving the Pac-12, but for the Big 12 instead of the Big Ten. Zach, this is, again, uncharted territory for college athletics, right? The Big Ten is now the Big 18 or something like that.
Yeah,
I mean,
18.
that is just, I guess, I don't, you can't really know how everything is going to pan out until it does pan out. And my understanding is that the specific merging of the conferences that takes place will not take effect until at least the 2024 season. So I'm super intrigued to kind of see how everything ends up working because Zach, you also got to factor in, right? 2023, this upcoming college football season is the first season where they're going to debut um, the 12 teams in the college football playoff as opposed to four, right? And that was supposed to be the big thing for college football, but now we got um, just schools merging. It seems like every month a new school decides to join forces. Zach, the biggest concern I have, man, is just the location, right? E- like I believe from Oregon or something, the closest state on or school on the East Coast is still like a at least like a 5 hour flight in Nebraska. I mean, that is just in terms of the logistics. It that's going to be the biggest challenge, Zach, because how are you going to expect the team that's plays on the West Coast to all of a sudden pack their bags half the year and go play on the East Coast? I think that's going to be the biggest challenge. Not to mention, Zach, that it's going to be so hard to you know create distance and create separation, and the fact that there's so many teams in all these conferences now. I think those are the biggest thing, and you also got to factor in like TV and time zones and everything like that. So this is uncharted territory, Zach, and I mean, I honestly, I'm excited to watch because like we have never known something quite as drastic as this in college sports in general. Like, and I am super intrigued to see how, first off, how the 12 team playoff pans out this upcoming year, but how the format may change, may stay the same, and just where we go from here as college football in general, and how fans are just how fans will react.
Mm. Yeah, I think, and also hello to our single viewer watching out there. You know who you are, so thank you for watching. We are not going to say your name for safety reasons, but you know who you are. Thank you very much for your support. Anyway, yeah, I think that this is going to eventually lead. Now, this is going to eventually lead to. It's almost forcing the idea of a super conference to
Yeah,
or super conferences to occur. I mean, it's going to be a logistical nightmare, but hey, the NCAA, they'll figure it out. But
yeah,
it is going to be intriguing to watch some of the more diverse matchups you get with some of these teams. It'll be very interesting to see that, and also like you mentioned the 12 team CFP, so that will be interesting. A lot more underdog teams is my prediction in there.
yeah. And Zach, I think honestly, I think for the for the smaller schools in these conferences, you can't lose, right? Because you're getting so much more exposure than you would. My question, my worry in a sense is, are you gonna like, because you have to contend with the big dogs? Are you kind of just gonna really not develop into the powerhouse that you want to be when joining this league? Are we going to see like the skill, like the difference in recruiting and size of the school? Is that, I mean, that's probably going to play a big factor, don't you think?
Yeah, it is. It will. I guess it'll just be interesting to see how everything pans out. It's like anything uncharted territory, so it will be interesting to see when all of this does eventually take place and take shape, and hopefully we'll just see how everything turns out. All right, next on the next episode of the Local Lowdown podcast, we are going to delve deeper into the Eric Carlson trade that occurred today, and we will also, well, that's pretty much all that we have confirmed as far as topics go for now. But that will be that will air in couple weeks from today, I will be leaving town for the weekend, so for in a couple weekends. So I will be pre-recording that episode, and we will be airing it as a YouTube premiere over here on YouTube and over on audio platforms. Danny, any final thoughts before we wrap up this short and sweet program?
No, Zach, always a pleasure, man, and just appreciate everybody watching and listening, man.
All right. In that case, he is Danny Shamholtz. I am Zach Bischoff, and it's always an honor to bring you the local lowdown on everything occurring in the world of sports. As I said, he's Danny Shamholzer. I am Zach Bischoff, and we will see you next time right here on the 7th edition of the Local Lowdown podcast.